The Calgary Flames had a very busy weekend with a couple of games that may not exactly have gone their way. But one thing that snuck through the cracks a little bit was something that could go their way, and it was a quote unquote massive signing. It was more of a sneaky good signing for the last piece involved in the Elias Lindholm trade to Vancouver. Welcome to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here, you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe because right around 83% of the people watching are not subscribed. So if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around the Calgary Flames, then make sure you join the fastest growing community of Flames fans on the internet. But like I said, there was a quote-unquote massive trade, and it might not exactly be massive in terms of the biggest impact on the organization, but no, I'm talking more massive in terms of the actual size of the players signed. Yes, it is a massive signing. It is, of course, Joni Jurmo. I've got a little song for him too every time. Every time I hear that name or even read it in my head, I just go, Joni Jurmo, every single time. It is a beautiful name that rolls off the tongue. Over there in Suomi, they know how to name people. They have the best names in the league, like we saw last night against Buffalo with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. But regardless here, let's talk about how the Flames were able to sign Joni Jurmo. So the Flames have signed defenseman Joni Jurmo to a 2-year entry-level deal with an AAV of $850K a season. So nice and cheap for a prospect. Now, he is getting up there in age a little bit, but it's still nice to get the last piece involved in the Lindholm trade signed. So obviously, Kuzmenko came over signed with $5.5 million per season. Hunter Brzustewicz signed a week or two ago now. And then, of course, the first round pick, they will sign eventually, but we don't count that. So Joni Jurmo was the last piece to sign. And the defenseman, not Ford, if you're an OG of the channel, you remember that. But he has signed with the Flames. A great signing for Conroy, making sure that all these pieces he acquired are on contract and will be part of the organization. They won't just be, pretty much for free that they gave away any of these. But let's look more into Jurmo himself with the facts. So he is 21 years old. He will be 22 in less than a month from now. Of course, he is Finnish with a name like that. He has to be. He is a defenseman and he is massive. 6'5". That is the massive part of the signing right there. He's pretty big too, 209 pounds. Could probably put on a little bit of weight, but we say that about almost anyone, and I shouldn't be one to talk about weight. I need to shed a few pounds if we're being honest here. But 6'5", he is big, and the Flames, they don't necessarily have any huge D-men now. I mean, obviously, they're not going to find the next Zdeno Chara or anything in Joni Jurmo, but he has the potential to get some good minutes within the Flames organization, whether that's for the Flames or the Wranglers, or, with the way this Flames' season is going and the way it's winding down, there's definitely opportunity he could play. I mean, obviously not enough games to burn off one of those years they just signed him to for the ELC, but there's a chance he could get a little bit of NHL experience. I think the Flames are happy with the D-men they're playing right now. Miramanov is getting an insane amount of minutes. And some of the other guys too, like Pahal is playing so much as well, which has been great to see. Joel Hanley, we saw, scored a goal the other day. But either way, Joni Jurmo could fit into this retooling, rebuild, restructure, reshape, however you want to label what the Flames are doing right now. He does fit into it, and it's great that there's another defenseman in the pipeline that could come up. That's a little bit different than some of the other guys. Obviously, it's a very different game from Brzustewicz or Poirier or anyone like that. So let's read what was said about him as a prospect. Before he was drafted, this is what was said about him. So Jurmo's projectable 6'4" frame, well, he passed that at 6'5", and smooth skating lend itself to covering large swaths of ice and carrying the puck from one zone to the next, sometimes effortlessly. His speed makes him one of the best puck rushers in the Finnish U20 league. He accelerates well when he's already in motion and is a deceptive skater in the neutral zone with crossovers and changes of pace. Now, he won't be an offensive defenseman really in comparison to some of the other guys the Flames have, like a Brzustewicz, but he's very smooth skating and has the possibility to be a force with his size, but also get into the offensive zone and chip in a little bit. I mean, don't expect him to pinch like crazy. I'm assuming he'd play more cautiously. He didn't have the best offensive numbers this year over in Finland, but he still has tons of potential and is a very, very good player. And it's great that he is signed. And he has one of the best names I've ever heard in my life. And we love that over here in Calgary. We all remember Jyrki. How could you not? Let's move on. A cool little tidbit here coming out. this weekend, I believe it was announced either this morning or yesterday. I've already lost track of it. But the Alberta Hockey Hall of Fame, they have some new inductees. And look at that. 3 men involved with the Flames at some point, and especially, obviously, hockey in Alberta. The first one, Jarome Iginla. I mean, without question, the best Calgary Flame of all time. Sensational scorer, an even better person off the ice. He's even born and raised in Alberta. A no-brainer. That he is finally part of the Alberta Hockey Hall of Fame, and hopefully his legacy can continue with his work within the Flames organization and potentially with his son. Ooh, maybe he'll get drafted to Calgary. Next, Dave King. He was a head coach for the Flames in the early to mid 90s, led the Flames to some pretty good records actually, but never was able to do anything quite good enough in the playoffs, but definitely a good enough career to land him in the Alberta Hockey Hall of Fame. And the last one, Kelly Kizio, actually so involved in Alberta hockey now. I believe he's currently actually a scout for the Golden Knights, which means he must be doing a good job. But he is very involved in Alberta hockey and has been. So back in the day, he actually used to play for the original Calgary Wranglers that were in the WHL. I think he played for Red Deer as well in the AJ as a junior as well. And then he had a pretty good NHL career and finished it off with the Flames. But he's more so known actually for being GM of the Calgary Hitmen. He was GM of the Calgary Hitmen for a very long time and was able to capture 2 WHL titles in 99 and 2010. So very involved in Alberta hockey. Congratulations to all of those guys. All very well deserved, and it's cool. It's very cool news. I was happy to share that. Next, let's move on to last night's game. Another loss for the Flames, which I always want to see the Flames win. I always want to see them compete. And you know what? They actually did play some decent hockey last night. They kept it close late, but they did unfortunately end up losing 4-1 to the Sabres. Obviously, that score is a little bit embellished with 2 empty netters for the Sabres. It was really, kind of a 2-1 loss, but it ends 4-1. You know what? I was actually at this game, and this was me after the game. Obviously, I wasn't looking too happy. Clearly, that hat doesn't go anywhere without me, but I was a little bit sad leaving because like I said, I always want to see the Flames win games. It was unfortunate they couldn't pull that one out, but some players did play well, and I liked the play of the Huberdeau, Sharangovich, and Kuzmenko line. I thought they actually played some decent hockey. Huberdeau did get the one Flames goal. It was kind of just put in by Owen Power, to be honest, but I thought they played pretty well. Otherwise, Miramanov, I think he played good in the offensive zone, but he's a little bit shaky in the defensive zone, which is too bad. But I think his game could grow and he could develop more, proficient defensive capabilities. But as for now, I like what he's done. He's better than I thought he would be in the Hanifin trade, but I hope he can be a little bit better. Otherwise, I would have liked to see some of the younger guys get in last night, maybe. But either way, you know what? The Flames still have quite a bit of hockey left for this season, and it should be fun regardless, and I'm sure those young guys will get in. Dustin Wolf did play last night, and I thought he played pretty well as well. The first one wasn't exactly the best goal to give up under the arm. It was a great shot, to be honest, by Peyton Krebs, but the second goal, there was no chance he was going to save it. He was kind of hung out to dry, and the Sabres honestly did deserve to win that game. The Flames did play well, but the Sabres were the better team. They are still somewhat in the hunt for the playoffs. It looks like they'll miss it again for the 900th year in a row, it feels like. But either way, it was a fun game for sure. Now let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Calgary Flames. So obviously, I like to think that the week starts on Monday. I know a lot of people say Sunday, but over on the score, they included Sunday. But here you go. To end off March, obviously a loss to the Sabres. Now, 3 games this week. They're in Chicago on Tuesday. Then they head over to St. Louis on Thursday. And then they are back home on Saturday to face the Kings. I'll be at that game if you want to say hi if you see me. But interesting schedule coming up ahead. Definitely some winnable games. It's kind of against the teams that dominated the Western Conference throughout the 2010s. But Chicago, as we know, they are not very good right now. They're trying to tank, but it looks like San Jose is going to win the Slacken for Macklin sweepstakes, and it looks like they'll finish bottom of the league. But either way, the Flames could definitely win against Chicago. I think it'll be an interesting game against St. Louis, since St. Louis are still somewhat pushing for the playoffs. I know the West is just getting more and more set in terms of playoff seeding as the games go on, but St. Louis, they're still trying. So that should be a fun one. And then LA, it's always a fun game on Saturday night in Calgary. And I think I think LA is absolutely the better team going into it, but who knows? The Flames could pull something out any given Sunday, right? Just like the football players say. But no matter what, it should be a fun week, and we on Flames Digest will keep you updated with anything revolving around the Calgary Flames. So with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you like what you saw here today, and make sure you have a wonderful rest of your day.